kind of that been like for you?
Well, the journey as captain has been very fulfilling. It's been something I've embraced and enjoyed. But it's a little bit of a juggling experience to try and do both, to try and play full time. I've been playing quite a lot too. I think it gives me much more value to be out at the tournaments playing, understanding the golf courses, being around the players. It's busy, juggling both jobs, but I'm certainly enjoying the role.
Yep. And how are things shaping up at Marco Simone? Looks like the first tee is coming along nicely.
Yes, I was there 2 weeks ago for the Italian Open, my third trip, third Italian Open, year-to-go event back in October as well. So I've spent quite a bit of time there over the last couple years, and it's shaping up nicely. The course is growing in well. There's been very minor changes, but those are in good position for the matches in September.
That's great. Thank you. We'll open up for questions now, starting with Mike 7.
Hi, Luke. Obviously, the sort of sands of LIV seem to shift weekly. Recently, we've had the situation with the resignations. I noticed in your interview, you said with the Telegraph, you were talking about that giving you a bit of extra clarity, which is quite a nice thing. Could I have a few of your thoughts on that? And secondly, I suppose it's a different situation with the PGA players. There's obviously a way in for those guys. Would there be a scope for a gentleman's agreement between you and Zach about who you can pick?
Well, as I said a couple of weeks ago, it's a shame that there was some resignations. A lot of these guys have built their legacy around DP World Tour members and their participation and everything with the Ryder Cup. Ultimately, that was their decision, and unfortunately, they're off the table now for selection purposes for myself. So, as I said, I've always been trying to concentrate on, looking at all the players that week in, week out are committed to try and make that Ryder Cup, and that hasn't changed. And my situation is what it is. I got to always take what I have in front of me and kind of go forward. And I'm still excited about all the players we have on offer, both rookies and established players. And I think our team will be very good. I think in terms of what Zach is doing and his options, I think that's kind of his call. Whether LIV players play his on his team is, again, I haven't really talked to him too much about it as a captain's agreement, as you said. And let's not forget, there's still LIV players that can play on my team. They're still eligible if they're members of the tour and were born in Europe. So that is still a possibility for some guys.
Would you plan to speak to Zach about it? Again, like you said, obviously there's still European players who can make it in. Theoretically, it would feel like an advantage to the Americans if they're able to call on DJ and Brooks, for example. But would you be looking to have a conversation in that direction?
To be honest, I think that the team selection should be pretty separate. I'm in charge of the European team and what's best for us, and he's in charge of the U.S. team and what's best for him. And I think that's just how it should be.
Let's go to Mike 1, followed by Mike 4.
Luke, you just mentioned rookies. Do you have an idea in your mind of what the right balance is going to be? Because there is some transition that your team is going to experience. Will you lean on experience for the sake of experience if push comes to shove with a player or two, or you just take it on the merits of each player regardless of the level of experience in the match?
Well, Gary, I think there's lots of different factors when it will come to selection process. I think it's current form. It's whether these guys, whether they're rookie or have experience, whether they match the golf course, their games. There's certain profiles that will match better to Marco Simone than others. And whether some of those rookies in their games will match the 6 qualifiers automatic qualifiers. So, experience does come into play, certainly, because Ryder Cups are different, but, everyone has to be given an opportunity at some point. I was given an opportunity in 2004 as a pick by Bernard Langer. I think there was only 2 picks, 2 wild cards that year, and it was a bit of a gamble. I was a little bit of an unknown. In 2004, I'd won once in my rookie year in the PGA Tour. I'd won once at the Scandinavian Masters. But I was showing a lot of consistency in the U.S., and he thought my game really suited very well to Oakland Hills, and that's why he said he picked me. So, again, I think there's a lot of different factors that go into it, but, we'll have to see what the makeup is. But I'm sure there'll be some rookies on that team.
Look, do you understand the kind of neutral or spectator's viewpoint that the Ryder Cup spectacle will be harmed by Lee, Ian and Sergio not necessarily being players, but not being part of the Ryder Cup thing at all? Do you think that's a fair viewpoint that now we've lost that?
Again, I understand the public's view, and a couple of years ago, if you'd asked me that none of these guys would play a further role in the Ryder Cup, I would have questioned why. But again, these things have all happened in a series of events that ultimately, I guess, were their decisions. And I think we all knew when LIV came about and it was approached to a lot of us that, if you did that, there were these opportunities, there were these chances that stuff like this could happen, and you could put your potential future in jeopardy. And I think everyone knew that.
Jeff on 12.
Luke, a lot of the young guys that have been in here talking about the East Course had never seen the before and after photos as you have, kind of. What were your impressions upon what you've seen this week? And do you feel it's as a test, it's consistent in what it asks of you as a player?
Well, it's a really good test. It's a big golf course. It's just that beautiful grand clubhouse, and I love what has been done here with the restoration. It looks amazing, like visually. They've really used the land beautifully. The greens have a lot of flow to them, a lot of slope, but not so much where it's impossible to create a good challenge with it being a fair challenge as well. So I think it's a good test. Some of the par threes, a couple of the par threes are a little bit obnoxiously long for some of the size of the greens. But again, that's a major championship test, and it's certainly the rough is thick, the fairway bunkers, the greenside bunkers are very penal. And they can move tees around to kind of make it very fun, this golf course. And playing earlier in the year with it being a little cooler, some high winds forecast today. I mean, it's going to be there's some very, very strong holes out there.
What kinds of clubs do you find yourself hitting in the longer par threes?
I hit a rescue into third hole and 11 yesterday. 2 shortish par threes as well, which is nice. But yeah, third green is, it's really the size of a green that you think you should be hitting an 8-iron in, and I was hitting a rescue in. So it's going to be a test.
I'll ask you in your captain's role, as you talk to some of these newer faces that haven't experienced the Ryder Cup, how do you describe it to them?
Well, I describe it as hopefully going to be the best week of their lives, because it certainly was for me when I was a player. I was fortunate to play on 4 and all being winning teams. I think that helps. So, the goal is to go there and win, because that really does create a better week for the players. But there's just nothing like it we have in our sport, where we get to come together as a team. We play such an individual sport, and to come together like that, and to play for other people, I think it is very rewarding. It's kind of the essence of what the right kind of motivation that gives you the most pleasure, and I think that's what the Ryder Cup represents.
Let's finish up with 8, followed by 10.
Yeah, hi Luke, over here. Just like you mentioned some of the criteria for your wild card picks, how important is it the way the potential rookies or potential wild cards perform in a US major, especially at an event like this week? And would you like to give any names you're particularly looking at this week?
I probably won't go into names, but I think it's always good to see how rookies, potential rookies, do in major championships. It takes a different kind of mindset, a different kind of nerve. The challenge, obviously, is totally different to what you'd be playing week in, week out. Obviously, a very strong field this week. So, again, a good performance here at a major can go a long way.
Luke, I was going to ask about how much emphasis you would put on the remaining 3 majors as part of your criteria. Could you maybe expound on what you was talking about?
I mean, certainly, as I said, the majors do offer, different challenges to what they play week in, week out. But there's been lots of very good rookies and Ryder Cup players who maybe haven't had the best major record as well. So it's not everything, but certainly I'll be keeping a close eye on the scoring.
Ask you about the guys who left for LIV, from a personal standpoint, being their friends and playing golf with them, playing Ryder Cups. Did you have, some personal disappointment in seeing them go? Not necessarily any animosity or anything, but just disappointed that you wouldn't maybe see them as much and play golf with them.
Well, I certainly haven't seen them as much, and it's always harder to keep those relationships going because of that. But no, I'm not disappointed in anything. They have to make the choice which they feel is best for them. And again, I'm in this role where I'm trying to make the choices that I have available to me, and this is where we are right now. So again. As you said earlier, probably some of this happening 5 months out is a little bit better than happening a few weeks out. It gives me a little bit more clarity of what I have to work with, and that can only be a good thing.
Great. Thanks for your time today, Luke. We appreciate it.